Namaste friends, I'm your host Crypto Gurkha and welcome to the second episode of Walk the Talk Season 2. On this episode I met up with Peter, the founder of Yagi Finance. I spontaneously met up with Pete at the StarkNet CC venue and we did a turbo interview. So the question is, when Yagi? Here's the intro. So guys, as mentioned, this is our second episode at Walk the Talk. Today I've got a very interesting guest. It's Pete, CEO, founder of Yagi Finance. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm doing great. This is a beautiful place in Lisbon to do this.
Yeah.
So,
how was the experience with StarkNet CC generally?
yeah, it was fun. I mean, I love the venue. I think we're kind of keeping the same size as Amsterdam, but it's a lot more open, and I think the structure has been awesome to do. They're giving us a little bit of a break today, which is great.
Awesome. Thank you for your time. So without further ado, let's start the Walk the Talk.
Yeah.
So sir, who are you? How did you get into crypto?
Yeah, I'm Peter. I'm the founder of Yagi Finance. Originally, before crypto, I was a software engineer initially. I did a couple of internships in California with Google and Twitter. Decided to learn a bit more about business, joined McKinsey, became a management consultant. Actually was doing, no programming, just Excel and PowerPoint for a little while. Then got into product management when McKinsey acquired an analytics firm called Quantum Black. Started building products, started getting back into software and specifically in developer tools. So helped build what is now an open source library for machine learning. And that got me really hooked on open source as well as developer tooling. And so when kind of in 2018, I, as kind of a retail investor in crypto, started to learn more about some of the technical challenges. I got really excited and decided to start developing there. So the first problem that I focused on was security. So at the end of 2018, I started a consulting company in crypto and started helping different crypto teams with developing infrastructure, things like faster EVM clients or doing formal verification, things kind of centered around security, and then also smart contract development. So those became the two things going forward. I did that for a couple of years and then kind of recently decided, hey, maybe I've learned a bit about smart contract development. It's time to try a hand at building a protocol. And so, earlier this year, started working on Yagi Finance on StarkNet.
So, what exactly is Yagi Finance? And how big is your team actually, generally speaking, at Yagi?
Yeah. So our team is very tiny. It's basically me and one more contractor usually that's working full-time on the protocol. So we've been bootstrapped in terms of the consulting company overall, and so kind of right now the resources we dedicate to Yagi are very limited. But what is Yagi Finance? It's basically a yield aggregator and a keeper network on StarkNet. So as a yield aggregator, our goal is a user can come to us with the goal of generating yield. And specifically, we're generating yield in the StarkNet ecosystem, which has its own unique set of products. And our goal is to bring them the best opportunities and make them really easy to just invest in those opportunities. Whether these are lending protocols or market makers on StarkNet, whether these are yield farming opportunities, our goal is to just bring all those, aggregate them together and make it really easy to invest. As for the keeper network, it's a product that we use internally for the vaults, but we also expose it to developers, and that's really a way to automate smart contracts.
So for our non-technical people, what is an aggregator and what is a vault?
Yeah, so a vault, let's start with that, is very similar to an investment fund in traditional finance. We all have kind of retirement savings and retirement funds where we pick, what risk level we want and kind of what types of assets we want to invest into. We're familiar with that. And in crypto, the equivalent thing is a vault. It's a place where you deposit money with the idea of generating some yield and some return on that money and then withdrawing more than you hopefully deposited. In practice, of course, these vaults are a little bit different than the funds in traditional finance. Usually, there isn't a manager that's actually actively managing the money. Usually, the smart contract itself has certain automation logic that's described in the smart contract. Now, as for the keeper networks and for automation, that's kind of helping contribute towards it, right? It's helping to contribute towards not needing that fund manager or investment manager persona. So what is an aggregator? Well, an aggregator is something that builds vaults that actually can optimize across multiple different opportunities and optimize that for you. The goal is, to build something where we have 10 different vaults, and if you say, I want to deposit Ether, we find the best vault for you automatically and allocate most of your capital in that vault, rather than you having to pick and choose, which vault this, today or this week is performing the best.
So it's easier for the average user, so he doesn't have to put in his head. It's going through completely automatically.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
That's right.
So why specifically StarkNet though? Why didn't you build on Ethereum or another layer 2, so to speak?
Yeah, I think what really attracted me to StarkNet initially was I was trying to learn more about scaling in general. So I looked at various rollups and other scaling solutions, and StarkNet struck me as, and specifically Stark-based, zero knowledge-based rollups, struck me as a kind of a magic technology in the sense that it didn't have some of those trade-offs that other rollup solutions have, right? Usually, rollups, in order to achieve scalability, they trade something off. They'll trade off a little bit of security. They'll maybe trade off a little bit of trust. They'll have a smaller set of validators. In some instances, with zero knowledge, it seems like we don't have to make some of those same trade-offs, right? With zero knowledge technology, it seems like we can.
There? Sorry.
Yeah. With zero knowledge technology, it seems like we just get the scalability almost for free. Of course, the challenge with zero knowledge is that it's really hard to develop the technology to get the cryptography right. And I think the StarkNet team has shown, through their development of the original, StarkX platform, and through some of the scalability numbers reached there, which are really impressive, that they're able to deliver this, that they're able to get it right. So I think that was kind of the impetus, and I just wanted to learn more also about why they have a different programming language, right? Why do you have to write programs in Cairo? And so curiosity turned into actually realizing that this is a really exciting platform, and then I obviously learned more about the community. I think there's a very high level of kind of non-mercenarial developers, which I'd call it, which is people that are working on things that are not just copies of an existing thing or have kind of unique and additive visions. So that's kind of kept me in the ecosystem ever since.
Yeah, our ecosystem is quite interesting. If you compare it to StarkNet CC in Paris, it really grows exponentially. I mean, especially new tool sets, new DEXs, very interesting project, especially in the on-chain area.
Yeah.
So, do you collaborate with other StarkNet projects?
Yeah.
Or protocols?
Yeah, that's pretty key. So, with automation, we are used by some of the projects on StarkNet. So I think notably Topology uses us for automating their game ISEC. We're also used by some DeFi projects for kind of similar purposes of automation, the Redline game, things like that. In terms of vaults, it's where we build on top of other protocols, right? So the first one we built on top of was XBank, which is the lending protocol. We then built a vault on top of JediSwap as well, which is popular AMM. And also recently we collaborated with Realms, and that's it's interesting because wait a second, like why are we building a vault on top of a game? Well, the reason is they're building they have an economy in their game, right? So they have a token as well, and so we were able to build a staking template that helped them kind of build a staking vault for their community. So that was pretty exciting too, and we're working on more collaborations down the line as well.
Interesting. Well, speaking of community, I've got one last question. This came directly from the community. The question is, when Yagi vaults?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of questions baked in there. I mean, one is we're live on testnet obviously, but we're not live on mainnet yet. I think a lot of that depends on the underlying protocols and the underlying teams and when they will launch on mainnet. So I think what I'm hearing from a lot of people here in Lisbon is likely Q1. And so we'll work really hard to make sure our vaults are ready to go, such that whenever the underlying protocols like Xbank, like JediSwap go to mainnet, we'll try and follow soon afterwards. So yeah, I think beginning of next year is going to be very exciting. So get your ETH, migrate it over to StarkNet mainnet, and get it ready to allocate it across different opportunities in StarkNet ecosystem, and it'll be a fun time.
Well, awesome. Thank you very much. So I'll put in all the information down below, and thank you especially for your time. And yeah, guys, tune in to the next episode, and goodbye, namaste.